Purport. Lord Shiva is described here as Charachara Guru, the spiritual master of all animate and inanimate objects. He is sometimes known as Bhutanatha, which means the worshipable deity of the dull-headed. Bhuta is also sometimes taken to indicate the ghosts. Lord Shiva takes charge of the reforming persons who are ghosts and demons, not to speak of others who are godly. Therefore, he is the spiritual master of everyone, both the dull and the demoniac, and the highly learned Vaishnavas. It is also stated Vaishnavanam yatha Shambhu. Shambhu, Lord Shiva, is the greatest of all Vaishnavas. On one hand, he is a worshipable object of dull demons. On the other hand, he is the best of all Vaishnavas or devotees. And he has a sampradaya called the Rudra Sampradaya. Even if he is an enemy or is sometimes angry, such a personality cannot be the object of envy. So Vidura, in astonishment, asked why he had taken as such, especially by Daksha. Daksha is also not an ordinary person. He is a Prajapati in charge of fathering population. All his daughters are highly elevated, especially Sati. The word Sati means the most chaste. Whenever there is consideration of chastity, Sati, this wife of Lord Shiva and daughter of Daksha, is considered first. Vidura therefore was astonished. Daksha is such a great man, he thought, and is a father of Sati. And Lord Shiva is a spiritual master of everyone. How then could there possibly be such enmity between them that Sati, the most chaste goddess, could give up her body because of their quarrel? Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purport. So, Vidura is inquiring, asking about fundamental questions with respect to this incident where Daksha curses Lord Shiva for apparently disrespecting him by not standing up in the assembly of the sacrifice that Prajapati had organized. Prajapati Daksha had organized, and then upon him entering the arena of the sacrifice, Lord Shiva continued to sit. Of course, Lord Shiva was his son-in-law, but Shiva is a great personality. For some reason, he did not get up. Everybody else stood up and he got offended. And that became a cause for great anger from Daksha. The dilemma here that Vidura is putting to Maitreya is, both are great personalities. Now, Prajapati Daksha is also a great personality because he has been made in charge of creating the population by the Lord himself. And similarly, Lord Shiva is also a great personality. These are the early personalities of the time of creation. So, why did Daksha become, angry? Or why did such a great personality as Shiva become an object of envy? And that Prabhupada says, so Vidura in astonishment asked why he was taken as such, especially by Daksha. So, when it comes to this is a very sensitive issue. Not only, in general, this is a very sensitive issue. Sensitive because many times intellectually we cannot decide and analyze and decide these matters of who is offending whom. One could easily take that Shiva was offending Daksha. His son-in-law, why he didn't stand up? Everybody stood up. Other way you could see that why Shiva should get up. Why is he one of the three primary personalities of this each universe? So who is offending whom? The question comes. That's why their astonishment is there. It is not that Daksha was a demon. So, and here this is a matter of respect. Just see, the issue is that of respect. One may wonder that when it comes to the issue of respect, all these things are Maya. So, what is the use of discussing who is right, who is wrong? The subject itself is Maya. Who should respect whom? So, why should we continue to analyze and determine who should respect whom? So, we need to understand that the absolute truth is a person. And absolute truth also includes tiny personalities. So when absolute truth is person, and there are unlimited personalities, nityo nityanam chetanas chetananam, this is the picture of the absolute truth. This is a world view, or whatever you can call the existential view. What is existence? So the subject of respect does not vanish in Vaishnava philosophy. In the material world, it is perverted because everybody seeks respect for oneself. That's not the only use of respect. The proper use of respect is to give respect, because personalities, person to person, jiva to jiva, jiva to God, God to jiva, God himself gives respect to the living entity. That is why he creates this material world, giving us a free world to freely do what we want and enjoy or suffer the consequences of our acts. That itself is a matter of respect of the Lord towards the living entities. So Lord himself respects the free will of the living entity. So this is the subject matter. If we want to advance in Krishna consciousness, we also have to advance in the personalistic philosophy, the dynamics of interpersonal relationship, that one of them being offering respect. So, if somebody is offering respect, somebody has to be recipient of respect. So that means in absolute philosophy of Krishna consciousness, giving respect exists, accepting respect exists. It is a rasa. It exists. Just like man-woman relationship, in this material world it exists. According to Vaishnava philosophy, it exists in the spiritual world also. Here it is perverted, we call it lust, there we call it as love, because Krishna is the center. So in the same way, like that kind of madhurya rasa is there here and there, similarly respect also is here and there. We cannot run away from respect. We cannot run away. Mayavadis run away from respect. Mayavadis run away from sense and sense gratification. We say no, senses are there, my senses should be used for Krishna gratification. So everybody should be. So what is what is really required is that we learn the art of handling the subject called respect. How to handle it. How, as we said, there are two things, giving and taking. Both are there. So we should learn the art of giving, art of receiving. If you live in the community of Vaishnavas, because the instruction to everybody is to give respect, somebody will give respect to you. So you have to learn how to receive also. So we handle respect as per what the Shastras have directed the Vaishnavas, how they should deal with each others, how they should deal with those who are superiors, those who are equal, those who are subordinates, how to deal with these things. The basic injunction is amanina manadhena. One does not expect any respect for himself. One should not expect. Respect is not bad. Seeking respect is bad. Respect lands upon you. You have to. You cannot throw it. You have to handle it by offering that to Guru. When somebody receives respect, one should understand respect or even glorification. I'm talking about glorification. I'm not talking about flattery. Flattery is bogus. There's no truth in it. Just you say somebody, you're great, you're great, you're great. You have that quality, you have that quality. Flattery is an insult to Vaishnavas. It is a Vaishnava aparad, flattery. Because behind flattery you have a purpose. There is no truth. Just like they say, no, masala laga rahe hain. What is it? Maska laga rahe hain. So that is flattery. Flattery. Flattery has no place in Krishna consciousness. But praise, appreciation, glorification has place in Krishna consciousness. And when there is proper flow of Vaishnava, flow of Shastra-based appreciation, when Shastra-based glorification, flow is there among the Vaishnavas, Krishna is very pleased. Because the devotees are understanding. Because ultimately, we have to learn how to live in the spiritual world. We are social beings not only here. According to Krishna consciousness, the absolute truth is what? It is also social world, but it is an eternal world. So, social skills, Mayavadis may say, social skills, these are all mundane. But in Krishna consciousness, by living among the Vaishnavas, by the instruction given like by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Amanina Manadena, all these injunctions that are given, it is all preparing us how to serve Krishna and how to serve the servants of Krishna. How to learn how to be the servant of Krishna. Because the absolute truth is like an organism. Krishna with his energies. And Krishna with his energies are meant for his enjoyment. His enjoyment, it means Krishna's enjoyment is never selfish. Krishna's enjoyment is always to give enjoyment to others, to all the devotees, to his devotees. The devotees always think of Krishna and Krishna always thinks of the devotees. That is why a devotee never thinks for himself. It is a devotional opulence. If a devotee is capable of not thinking for himself, he will always think for Krishna, he will always think for Prabhupada, he will always think for other Vaishnavas. And the Lord is very pleased with such attitude of a devotee. where he is always trying to, here focus is others and not himself. So one should not, it is wrong to hate respect or be attached to respect. It exists for giving pleasure to Krishna, ultimately, in the absolute, because we are all persons. So we need to learn how to handle this subject. As I said, seeking respect is what is the poison, because the injunction is there for every Vaishnava to respect. Somebody will come and respect. So how to handle that respect? If someone comes and handles the respect, the injunction is that one should say respect or even glorification for something. Let us say you did. Okay, I cannot say no. Actually, nobody else did. Krishna made you do. You did. So that is also a fact. You did. Let us say something. You did something very expertly, and somebody comes and glorifies you. Oh, very nicely. And it is his duty to glorify. Anywhere, anything good in the Vaishnavas, he should glorify. Now, when the devotee sees this, how does he handle this appreciation from other Vaishnavas? Because if he has proper understanding that all good qualities that anybody sees in you is the costless mercy of my Guru. So when he is a cause, he is costless. Costless means not because I earned, I have that. I earned, I got it. You did not earn, so Prabhupada didn't give you. Now you earned, you deserved, so he gave you. Devotee never thinks like that. He thinks that what I have is a costless mercy of the Lord. And if the devotee has the attitude that everything that he has is a costless mercy of the Lord, costless mercy will flow more and more. And devotee, if he thinks that no, I cost something, then the material thing is obstructing the flow of costless mercy of the Lord. So the principle is that the devotee is always with full belief that I have no qualification. Whatever good somebody is seen in me, because if there is glorification and not flattery, there is something seen in this. Reality we have to accept. So what we have to understand, if we understand that it doesn't belong to me, all the credit is to my spiritual master, his costless mercy. One can feel that, look, Prabhupada is so merciful that he has blessed me with these qualities. Not only he has blessed me with these qualities, Vaishnavas are coming and giving me credit. So merciful you are. So these are the kind of feelings that the devotee should develop to receive respect. The devotee never thinks he deserves respect. What to think of seeking respect? So number one mistake is to seek respect. Number two is to think that I deserve respect. If these two things are not there, then the devotee is very careful about disrespecting others. Just like Ambarish Maharaj, his values, spiritual values were so well oriented that when Durvasa Muni offended him, Durvasa Muni, when the Sudarshana Chakra chased him, Ambarish Maharaj is worried whether he has offended him. And he is waiting when he will come and forgive me. So that is the consciousness of Ambarish Maharaj. So taking disrespect, if it happens any time, because social means there are etiquettes and all those things. One does not take offense to disrespect. But factually one may see, okay, he is breaking the etiquette. Then what is one's position? What is one's duty? If he is younger devotee, he has to be corrected. Just because a sannyasi teaches a young devotee that how we should respect a sannyasi, does not necessarily mean that that sannyasi is after respect. Because who is telling whom? And what is the intention behind telling that? So in Vaishnava community, we have to teach devotees also this aspect. So giving interpretation to devotees' acts, where devotees are asked, this is the way we should have interaction with others by giving respect, etc., does not necessarily mean that, how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, Samanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sada Hari. But the institution is full of, you respect, there is GBC, there is temple president, and you go, when you say, why all this difference, why when devotees are sitting and taking prasadam, you have one table for temple president, you have no table for somebody else, you have one red mat for somebody, white mat for somebody, all these things, devotees can also get confused. Hey, philosophy mein kaisa aata hai Krishna consciousness mein? That is why I am explaining all these things. There is a basis for all these things. In the spiritual world also hoga, red mat bhi hoga, table bhi hoga, sab hoga. Tayar raho. Because in the heart of the devotee, there is no red mat, there is no table, there is no all these things. In the heart of the devotee thinks he is a servant of the servant. Even the spiritual master thinks, I am serving my disciple as a teacher. I am his servant teacher. I am servant leader. I am servant temple president. I am servant temple commander. I am servant. So just see, one side the injunction is you give respect. For that these things are there. Another side the injunction is those who are sitting with the table should be careful. There is a injunction how in your heart you should take that. So this dynamics of respect cannot be taken away from the society. Then we become Mayavadis. We have to learn how to handle it to the pleasure of the Supreme Lord. So one needs to sit, one needs to think about all these things philosophically also. And one becomes sensitive person. One does not become a rash person. You cannot execute Krishna consciousness in a brash manner. There are fineness involved in these matters. Vaishnavism is a personalistic philosophy. There is nothing wrong in all these things, if one understands correctly what is what. And what does this helps everybody? Every devotee, whether he is being served or somebody is serving, each of them have, each of the situation has a lesson for everyone, the served and this one who is serving. There is a tapasya for everyone, especially in the material world, before we become pure devotees. All these things are tapasya. In the material world, the top man is given perks. more perks than somebody else. Subordinates, isn't it? So if you do not know the philosophy of Krishna consciousness, you can tend to think, oh, how GBC has perks, temple presidents have perks, ordinary devotees have no perks. Corporate thinking. And then you start thinking like that. Oh, when will I get those perks? Perks means that respect. When will I get? It's a big Maya. Very easy to misunderstand. There's a Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur during on Vyasa Puja. He was telling, because probably some other non-devotees were also probably in the assembly sitting by happened to sit or something. So he starts his lecture by saying that, some may wonder, what is this donkey sitting on a seat? And others are praising him. Then he gives a whole philosophy of Guru Puja, philosophy of Vyasa Puja, philosophy of how the spiritual master's task is so tough that he has to do a job where the devotees have to look upon him as good as God, to teach them how to worship God. And what a tough job that is, because he had to take that respect from them, and they have to think that he is as good as God, and they have to worship him. But he has to become, he has, because he's given to God, is as good as God, everything has to go to God. So it's not an ordinary job. That is why Guru's service, anybody simply should not take it up, that responsibility. He cannot. That's why self-made gurus are not gurus. You cannot self-certify and become guru. Why? Because you cannot self-certify. Your predecessor Acharya should certify you that you are capable of taking that poison. For Jiva, that is poison. For Jiva, worship is poison. Guru is never thinking they are worshipping him. Moment he thinks they are worshipping me, then that is poison. So Guru's position is something for him is poison he has to handle. But that same poison is nectar for Krishna, because the Jiva's worship is reaching Krishna. So in the same way, at different levels of different degrees, this is an example about Guru. There are every other level there is a challenge for a Vaishnava, how to handle respect. He cannot avoid respect if he is in a community. Because as per Shastra, there are younger devotees, there are older devotees, there are equal friends, all these kind of things are there. So even though this interflow of respect is there, the injunction is very common to everybody that one should not take offense to not getting respect. Socially, what is due also, if it doesn't get, just you should keep silent. It's a very big trap. Unless one is spiritually mature, unless one places all these things in the right place in the Vaishnava philosophy, false ego comes into everything. And that is where people, they become angry, they criticize, they say. And before we actually, just like here, Vidura is so confused. Vidura has such a great personality. He is confused. Why these two people are like this? So in the same way, we also should not jump very fast to say that who is offending whom. Hey, he's offending. Don't jump. You cannot take sides on small matters of who is offending whom in in these matters. A very contemplated, Shastra-based understanding, who violated the norms, what is the purity. Therefore, here explanation is coming. Lord Shiva, what is his purity? There is no comparison to Daksha. So you should not have. Anyway, ultimately these are Leelas of the Lord to demonstrate principles of Vaishnavism, principles of Bhagavad Dharma. Both are great personalities. Any questions?
So here we see the example of how Daksha is actually seeking respect. So is it to set an example also? We can say that he also wants to set an example that as a son-in-law, he is subordinate and he should give respect. So is it wrong in that direction when a devotee?
Yeah, from different perspectives we can see this. That is the reason why Vidura is confused. From the absolute platform, to see that, from the absolute platform, if you see, Shiva is the universal position is God. Daksha is just a progenitor. He may be senior, older. So, does age matter, or does material relationship, father-in-law, son-in-law matter, or spiritual position matters? So, if you go to the essence, then spiritual thing matters. Lord Shiva is like actually Guru for everybody, Chara, for everybody. So, his spiritual position, that spiritual position, Daksha should show him respect. Just like, so many examples. Even where Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Leela also, a sannyasi took blessings from a grahastha. A sannyasi sought blessing from grahasthas. So, institutionally in Varnashrama system, a sannyasi is the one who has to be given respect. But here there are cases where, what are those 2-3 cases you are telling, Maharaj? Give the phone, this. So full of exemptions are there like this. What is the institutional pattern? What is Varnashrama is an institution. In that what happens? They are not absolute. No.
Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, when he was going on pilgrimage to South India, after having met Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya and explained to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya the fallacy in the Mayavada understanding that Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya had, then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya surrendered to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But still, before going for the South Indian pilgrimage, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu sought the blessings of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. Now, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya is actually a grahastha and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is sannyasi. So in Varnashrama, sannyasi never seeks the blessings of grahasthas. But to set an example, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu did that. That even a sannyasi seeks the blessings of an elderly grahastha who is situated in a particular position, in a superior position.
What does Prabhupada explain in the purport?
So Prabhupada says a sannyasi should not be puffed up, thinking that he is a sannyasi, and therefore I don't have to seek blessings of anybody, I only have to give blessings. No.
Then another 1 or 2 example you are telling.
Then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually inquired from Ramananda Raya. Ramananda Raya is in a position of a Shudra and a Grahastha. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in a Brahmana and a Sannyasi. So, both ways, neither as a Shudra nor as a Grihastha should Ramananda Raya be answering and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu be inquiring. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu wanted to teach that it doesn't matter even if a person is a Shudra or a Grihastha, if he is well versed in the principles of Krishna consciousness, he can be in the position of answering or giving clarification or giving knowledge. He wanted to teach that. So he inquired and Ramananda Raya replied. So there is a whole Ramananda Samvada, which is very famous in Chaitanya philosophy.
Yeah. So there is institutional, even according to Bhagavad Dharma, Varnashrama is an institution. So that is again, in that, behind it is paramarthik things also. If somebody is well versed in the knowledge, that is final criterion. So here Lord Shiva, his renunciation, his detachment, nothing compared to Daksha. So where is he spiritually? So that answers. We have to go by that. When there is confusion at the we can say Vyavaharik level, even Varnashrama is like Vyavaharik level. We have to go into the substance. As per substance, what is the relationship? Give Mike. Maharaj has something to say.
In the Bhagavatam, first canto, 4th chapter, there is a explanation that respect is to be given first on the consideration of age. Generally, an elderly person is offered respect by a younger person. But this is superseded by the fact that the younger person is in a higher position socially or even otherwise, any superior position than the elder person. Then the elder person offers respect to the younger person.
Just like if a young chief minister comes.
Yeah, if a king, the best example is the king. If the king is younger and a citizen is older by age, still the citizen has to offer respect to the king. It's not vice versa. Similarly, the king is in a very high position in the whole province or whatever. But a learned Brahmana, even though he may be younger than the king, even though he is in a lower position as far as the king is concerned, but the king has to offer respect to the Brahmana because of the Brahmana's learning. And the best example is, even above learning is the spiritual advancement. Shukadev Goswami walked into the assembly where Parikshit Maharaj is sitting with all great saintly persons, recognized transcendentalists from all over the universe. Still, when he walked in, he was walking naked and he was surrounded by some urchins and some foolish people who were teasing him, who were ridiculing him like that. So, some transcendentalists who could read the face of Shukadev Goswami recognized him as the most advanced transcendentalist in the whole community of saintly persons. So they stood up in respect. Looking at them, everybody else stood up. Now why? Because Shukadev Goswami is the most advanced transcendentalist among the entire community there. So out of respect for his spiritual advancement, they offered him respect. And Shukadev Goswami accepted, and Parikshit Maharaj offered him the seat. And he came and sat and he spoke the whole Bhagavatam. Of course, when he spoke the Bhagavatam, he justified his position. But till he actually began to speak, nobody could make out, except for those who can read the face and judge that he is spiritually advanced. Nobody else could make out. So that spiritual advancement overrides all other considerations. He did not belong to any particular varna, any particular ashrama. He did not have any social conventions. He did not follow anything. He was wandering like a madman, naked. without caring for any social customs. So how can one even understand? He was not speaking to anybody either. So how can one recognize? It's very difficult. So, but still, when the other people in the assembly understood that, oh, very advanced transcendentalists are standing up, and therefore they also offered respect, understanding, oh, he's a great personality. And later on, when he spoke, of course, everyone understood. So, spiritual advancement overrides age, overrides position, and overrides even learning. So, these are the 4 levels.
Thank you for enlightening. To close the entire thing, subject of respect is a challenge, is a spiritual challenge. We should understand. Giving proper respect is also a challenge. Taking respect is also a challenge. You cannot handle respect rashly. ग्रंथराज श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, जगत गुरु शिल प्रभुपाद की जय.